Okay, here we are in a clump of Guadua angustifolia Bicolor, a Colombian bamboo, a giant thorny Guadua of the Americas. And the stand is about 10 years old. And here we're going to show you some of the, one of the techniques that we use in twisting the bamboo. We don't actually twist it, we place forms over the new shoots and the bamboo grows into it, as you see here in this take. We're going to place a tire now over a new shoot. You see a new shoot down there, but it's a little advanced for this particular purpose. So over here we see another shoot that's maybe a week or two of age, and we're going to place a tire over it. This is a truck tire that has been cut in half and then turned on its axis, however you say that, and strapped into place so that I have two 90-degree turns, one this way and then one turned. So it's going to make a let's say that would be the foot of the left side of a sofa, and then the arm, and then it turns around and goes into the back. So here we go. Levántalo y póngalo sobre. Okay, we put it without touching the chute. We put it carefully over the chute with the tip close against the back of the tire, against the surface of the tire. And then over the next few months, maybe 1 or 2 months it'll take to go through this, the growing tip is going to accommodate itself to the surface. It's going to be obligated to follow the contour of the tire on the inside, and eventually will come out here and then will naturally head up in the air. It will make a turn all by itself, heading, unless I extend the tire a little bit, and that I may well do, but I have plenty of time to do that. In the meantime, we're putting a couple of cross pieces. There's tremendous pressure to push the tire upwards, so we're going to put a cross piece of dried bamboo. It's jammed into a hole in a planter over here, which you can't see for all the growth, and then it's tied to another one of the bamboos here with wire, and then here we are crossing them, and so that X will be tied. It'll be tied at the foot here and tied here, so at least in theory this tire is not going to lift up. I'll probably end up putting a few blocks on the top surface of it, because there's a tremendous vertical push in the chutes, and I'm thwarting it. So you'll see in a couple of other cases. You see how the I don't know, you can't see it now, but the chute is back in there in the dark. It doesn't matter that it's in the dark, it'll continue growing anyway. It can be in the dark for a number of months, because in fact it's not so much growing towards the light as it's fleeing gravity, and so it can be like, for instance, in this tire, which is pretty much dark on the inside. This is a spiral form, and the tip is in here right now. You can see the slight bulge, and it still has about a third of the way to go to come out here at the top. Okay, so this one, I have a weight. We had the pieces bamboo across, but then I had a weight on it too, because it was still, this was tires a little bit worn and rather soft, so it was distorting the tire when I didn't want it to. So this weight is here, and actually the growing tip is right about here. It's on its downward phase, and that takes the longest because it doesn't want to go towards the center of the earth. It wants to go the other way. The roots want to go towards the center of the earth. The aerial part of the bamboo wants to flee gravity, and incidentally find the light. So I thwart them for a while. Over here you see some work from last year. This curve, this was more or less the same form, but a curve in the other direction. This was the first one I did, thinking of a sofa arm and foot, but the upward push got away from me. I didn't weight it, or I didn't tie it down enough, and so it's really not suitable. So I've had to make replacements, but it's interesting form in any case. And you see the lower branches became, instead of extending 6 or 7 meters as they are due with thorns at every node, they have just turned into short but very sharp and imposing thorns, and it looks like some kind of finned submarine animal. And over here is another form from another last year maybe, and this is a spiral that's happening right now. It's right about here and will eventually come out on top. And over here we see a very strange form. It's kind of this is a spiral that's happening right now. It's right about here and will eventually come out on top. And over here we see a very strange form. It's kind of a S that tapers towards the top, and that was not done with tires. That's another technique, a little more complicated, that we'll talk about some other time. And you see when you do, here's another one of these sofa arms, and you see how it lifted, and then I tied the bottom of the tire to the bottom of the chute, and I also had a block in there. Actually, I'm not sure if the chute somehow lifted, but and then we had this bottom support here, some old pieces of bamboo. The chute is at this point right now, and so will probably come out in a few days. Here we see more of these. Well, these were branches, actually, long branches, and I cut them off so that we can get around in here. But you see, when it's obligated to go transversally, it gets some distortions in the inferior side of the curve, and that's not always very attractive, although it could be worse. This reminds me a little bit of Wamin bamboo, Buddha belly, and so it's not all bad. And I have it braced by other bamboo columns tied up above, because I've weakened the column in terms of its wind resistance, and if it gets whipped by the wind here, it would break and split. So I brace it for a couple of years. I have to wait 3 years to harvest these, a minimum of 3 years. It's hard to wait, but I try to do that. Over here, we're going to see the original S. And here I tried a complete arc, but it was tapering so much, because as the internodes are reduced in length because of the resistance the thwarting I'm subjecting them to, the internodes become shorter and the taper becomes accentuated. Okay, now we're coming into the workshop and see some of the things that we make with Guadua. But here's a sofa that was made Well, it's made entirely of Guadua angustifolia, and it's made from culms that have been formed by the process I was just showing you. This piece has two of the culms, one below and one above, and they're at least 3 years old, and were integrated into this design of a chase long. And I usually have it with the cushions removed to show off the form, otherwise they become a little bit covered. It's quite comfortable, and I can stretch out full length and go to sleep on it, if there's a cushion. So this is the first of a number of designs that I hope to make using bamboo. Here's another one, not quite as successful, I don't believe. It's a halogen lamp that can be adjusted this way. Quite good for reading, and a little bit hot there, but nice bright light. And these are some of the more traditional things I make from bamboo strips.